Now, around 3,000 people are killed annually in the Western Cape as a result of violent crime. The proliferation of illegal firearms among the most daunting task law enforcement agencies face. Now, earlier this year, communities requested Premier Alan Winde to have crime declared a disaster. This as under-resourced and overworked SAPS members are battling to bring violent crime, especially on the Cape Flats, under control. We cross live now to our reporter Mariska Botha in Cape Town. A very good afternoon to you, Mariska. Now, crime in the Cape Flats specifically is something we report on frequently, with no clear sense as to whether law enforcement is any closer to winning that battle and ridding the area of guns. Just paint a picture for us of what police are having to contend with on a daily.
Well, you're absolutely right. It doesn't seem like they're getting a handle on it. But when we do speak to the heads of the SAPS in the province, they say there is a plan, there is a long-term plan. And that's why we chose the Western Cape High Court today to do this crossing today, because most of the alleged underworld and gang bosses in the Western Cape are currently before this court on trial for numerous issues, including murder, contraventions of the Organised Crime Act. So a number of charges that they're facing in this court. And we, of course, know that many of these alleged gang leaders stand at the head of very sophisticated, organized networks of crime. But that means nothing for the man and women on the street and the children on the street, because you just have to sit across a mother who just lost her child to a stray bullet hitting her innocent child to understand what this crime truly means. But to unpack it for us further and to make us get a better sense of what it truly means, we're speaking to Dr. Llewellyn McMaster, and he's from the Cape Crime Crisis Coalition. Dr. McMaster, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy. In a nutshell, what is the Cape Crime Crisis Coalition?
We are a coalition that was formed about 2 years ago, exactly to address the issue of especially gang-related killings. And of course, we talk about organized crime because, as you've just mentioned, it's sophisticated networks. Shall I say, old gangsterism has evolved into organized crime. And clearly, it's so deep in our communities. You mentioned, high-profile leaders being in court, but it did not stop the gang activities because, again, gangs evolve. There's splinter groups, there's challenges on leadership, there's the vacuum because some of the leaders were taken out, and that's the history of gangsterism. So it's not something new. Yes. So we hear, about plans, but we are even struggling to get a plan from the police. I mean, we as a Cape Crime Coalition, representing, different organizations, have decided we don't just want to criticize, we want to engage. For instance, yesterday we had a meeting with the minister to get the report back from him, but also to say what we are busy doing since we met him last year. And it was last year that, you remember, the minister said in Mitchell's Plain, there's no clear plan. True. And then they came up with a plan, but we still struggling to get that plan. A few weeks ago, the minister said in Kabega, we are not equipped to deal with organized crime. I said to him yesterday, we appreciate that honesty, but what does that honesty mean in concrete terms to give hope to people, to make people trust police? And again, the Cape Crime Crisis Coalition, we're not politically aligned. We are standing up for the community. We say the same old has not bring results to us. So what are you putting on the table? And that's why we engaged with the provincial commissioner but towards the end of last year, and told him, we want to sit and co-design a plan. Yes. Because we've got experts that know, what's happening. Yes. We've got partnerships with University of Western Cape, for example, and they are prepared to help us, for example, do stakeholder mappings. So what we're asking the Premier, and we have not even received a formal response from the Premier, but we heard him saying in the news that he will approach the Kokta minister and he will speak to the Minister of Police, because we say declare state of disaster in the police presence that is high on crime, the hotspots, because people are desperate. They don't see the changes. We hear this police spokesperson say, we've got everything under control. And you ask, bro, in what world are you living? Because that's not what people are experiencing on the ground. Some people talk about the genocide. Some talk about the war zone. Yeah. But still, the police say, no, we found arms and this and that. And yes, we don't just want to criticize. We're not going to be negative about, certain things happening, like, positive things coming, but it's not enough. It's not enough to give people a sense that we will be safer.
We have a few seconds left.
Yeah.
Give us the reality of a community on the Cape Flats. It can be anyone over a weekend. What does it look like in a community on the Cape Flats over a weekend?
I think numerous communities, but take Manenberg, take Philippi East, where we had the mass killing, and look at the stats, and you realize people are under siege. But my positive message maybe to communities is we are still the majority. We should do something. There was a story about in Bloemendal, in Kabega, where youth have come together and say, we're taking back our streets. We want communities to do that. But we will continue pushing the government to say the trauma must stop. We must start a healing process in our communities, but they must trust police, and they don't trust because their lives are in danger if they come forward with information, and we say address that. Make it possible for people to come with information, because clearly your crime intelligence have failed us, and we want action. This year must be a year of action.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. Llewellyn McMaster. We can, of course, speak to him for hours. He's very knowledgeable on the subject, and he openly speaks and says the thing on the word. Over a weekend, in any of the communities, those two he mentioned, at least 10, 20, 30 people might die this weekend alone. And not people who are necessarily involved in gangsterism, but who become the collateral damage. So certainly tonight, there must be a clear and direct message from President Cyril Ramaphosa as communities, to use a straightforward term, is fed up with what they've been fed in terms of information, what they see on the ground, what is happening, and they, as Dr. McMaster says, they're not feeling it, they're not seeing it, their lives continue to be in danger, they are under siege, and some areas are certainly akin to war zones.
Mariska, no, the situation is most certainly untenable. Thank you very much for that. That's SABC News reporter Mariska Botha out in Cape Town for us.